sorry. So back in my early 20s, I saw something come across the screen there. And
An orb or was
I
it a
don't
warning
I
sign?
don't know what it was. It said
Okay.
preparing live stream. So
Oh, that was me. Yeah, we're
uh,
live streaming for first 30 minutes.
I was like, oh no, I'm cutting out. Um, yeah, so back in my early 20s, and I heard a really loud voice inside me for this was to do with my migraines, that I was intolerant to wheat, not gluten, but wheat. And I immediately took, and actually oranges too, and I immediately took those foods out of my diet. Wheat is a really hard one. I don't know how many people here have taken wheat out of their diet, but it's in so many things.
Yeah,
And so that was a really hard one to do. But once I cut those out, both the wheat and the oranges, those migraines disappeared. So on that level, that was more of a physical thing for my
correct.
body that I needed to listen to.
Okay.
A little bit later in my journey, I actually had overnight a sudden shift in what I call my nervous system, where I went to a chiropractor, I had an adjustment, and I came home later that day, uh, within the hour actually, and I went to put my daughter down to change her. She was just a toddler at the time. And I was suddenly struck with burning and searing body-wide chronic pain all over my body. And this went on for a very long time. There was no spot in my body that did not sting, burn, and hurt, except maybe the tip of my nose. And I remember just like laying in bed and focusing on the tip of my nose. And I did everything to get rid of this pain. I did chiropractic. I did all the cleansing and
Hmm.
did all the things that I knew how to do with my education. This is when I took functional medicine training and I did all the testing on myself, and nothing took away the pain. And so I had this pain for a very long time. And I had already been doing intuitive work with other people. And I don't know why I hadn't taken the time to really trust myself and ask myself the deep questions. But I ended up sitting in meditation and asking my body, body, why do I have this pain?
Yes.
And it was immediate response, you don't love yourself. And the the feeling that came over my body was just this deep knowing, this deep truth
Mm.
that for the longest time, and I knew it to be true, that I had judged myself. I had measured myself against other people. And it wasn't the who I am, but the actual way that I felt about my body. So the pain that I had in my body was a reflection of how I treated myself. And I had to learn a process of unwinding and unraveling that and learning to love my body no matter where it was. Our bodies change all through life.
Yes. Yes.
And through that realization, my body began to unwind its pain. And everything that I was doing, the chiropractic, the stretching, the yoga, the massage, the everything suddenly began to work. And I
Oh.
truly feel that had I not learned to completely and deeply love and accept myself for exactly the way that I was, that I probably would not be where I am today, which is pain free. And so
Wow.
we all have this little voice within us
Mhm.
that is guiding us all of the time. And we tend to push that away. No, it couldn't be that. It couldn't be that easy. Or how could not loving myself give me body wide pain? But if you don't, it makes sense to me because if you don't love your body and you're mean to your body and you're measuring yourself up and you're like, oh, if only I could be thinner, or look at this or look at that, and you're judging yourself, your body is going to feel pain. It's a physical being, it has an energy of its own. And so, if you can switch that, your body is going to start to release that. And so, That is kind of the Coles notes of what I went through, and how it's shifted my practice a lot too. So, um, I always say to people, we are spiritual beings before we are a physical body. And really,
Yes.
there is not any, in my, experience, there is not any, uh, what do I want to say, like physical issue that has manifested while we are here. Some people are born with some things, and that's another story. I think our soul can choose things too. But things that manifest as we're here in the here and now, I feel like are really, not only physical, but spiritual, emotional, mental as well. So they all are intertwined, and we can't truly heal unless we work on all those levels at once.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is we can't disconnect the spiritual emotional part with the physical. It's all intertwined. There's this deeper connection, almost like a rope, and the different cords, bound within each other or around each other make the rope, and we are this rope. And you've not just did this with yourself. I mean, this is something you now work with people all over the world, and I mean people with gynecological issues, chronic back pains. I mean, there's stories everywhere, hormonal issues, gut issues, lymphatic congestions. And I'm going to be clear that we're not offering medical advice. We're not doctors in the sense of diagnosing, but we are looking for that energy behind what's going on that may be out of balance. What are some of the areas that you've found in your work in your functional medicine practice that were tied to emotional issues?
Yeah, so I actually find that there's a lot, maybe it's because I had to deal with self-love, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that I end up working with that do have the need to expand their love for themselves. And it can show up differently for everybody. It doesn't necessarily show up as pain, but I do find that a lot of people who I work with are really needing that unconditional love. And it's so transformational to people's health. I also find that a lot of people that I work with have a lot of like worry and
Yes.
sometimes catastrophe thinking,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
thinking about the worst that's going to or could happen to them, worrying about that, keeping them up at night. And the ways in which that can manifest in the body, I find, is a lot of digestive issues. I work a lot with digestion because often I find that our digestion is an extension of the way that we think and feel,
The way
and
we digest the world.
the way we digest the world, the way that we
Gosh.
digest and assimilate and let go
Yes.
of the things that happen to us, around us, all of those things. So, um, sometimes I'm working with people in their digestion, and it's sometimes about holding on to a way of being, holding on to things that are no longer serving us. Sometimes I've worked with so many people that know that they need to quit their job or leave their relationship. They've known this for years, and it's not a healthy place for them to be anymore, but they do it anyways, out of fear. And it shows up in the digestive system a lot. And so, when people move forward and shift those things, I often find that a lot of physical issues start to release as well.
Yeah, it's like what are you gnawing on? What are you letting continually sort of be in your field of processing? When you look at certain things like let's say hormones, I've always like tried to think how is it that hormones might be connected to some sort of feeling or energy? Is there a, and again, we're not saying it's always this, we're not diagnosing, but where's the connection with let's say a hormonal imbalance? with maybe an emotion or thought that is lingering, or some self belief or self concept?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because intellectually, I know that hormones are just chemical messengers. And so they're actually responding to other things going on in the body, like our digestion, like different toxicities. But hormones really are affected by the things that cause an unsettled, worried, fearful feeling in our body. Even anger, there really isn't one set emotion. But when we are constantly fearful or worried, what happens on a physical level is our body secretes cortisol to kind of keep
Mm.
us going, to support us because it thinks we're in a fight or flight state. And that cortisol release eventually will start to get low and it will start to steal our sex hormones. It's called the cortisol steal. And so it will steal
I don't have any of those.
progesterone or testosterone and estrogen just to give more cortisol to keep you going because your body, the first and foremost
Right.
wants to keep you safe and keep you alive. And so our hormones then can get depleted or out of balance. And so I always say, like with hormones, protect your peace, find your peace. Take that time to really find that stillness and the place of safety. And I like to give my worries to God. That's my practice now.
I think that's a very wise, sage, and time tested practice. Yeah. I love this. I mean, this is really amazing. And we're going to be diving in and maybe taking a look for some folks, a real gift today, to allow some support. So go ahead and raise your hand. You say everyone has their own frequency. How do we know if ours is maybe out of balance, or maybe at some point it's shifted? What are some signs that you've seen, Keri?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I love that that question. So when our frequency is off, I've noticed that there can be subtle shifts in our physical body, as well as our emotional, mental body. So you could be feeling fatigued a little bit more often. Maybe you've been feeling a little bit sluggish. You get this sense of not feeling completely like yourself, like you're dragging yourself through the day, just trying to get things done, but you don't have maybe the same like spark or excitement for life, or it feels a little bit like moving through quicksand to get things done. And there might be like a lack of motivation. You may feel even disconnected from your purpose or even not knowing which way to go in life. And you also could have trouble sleeping or
Okay.
feeling a little bit more anxious as well. And some other ways that it can show up might be some constipation, indigestion, gas, bloating. You might have a lot of sort of digestive symptoms showing up. Our body is so wise, it shows us when we are off balance. But I would say sleep and energy tend to be some of the first signs. And then also our skeletal alignment. So, if you have an area in your lower back or your neck that keeps bothering you or going out of alignment and no amount of chiropractic is helping you, it's time to look at like our own balance of
Okay.
energy and how sort of like that scale, the scale where one side could be higher than the other. That can happen in your like skeletal alignment too. And so you might have a little bit more like aches and pains. Um, so that's a few ways in which our frequency can affect our body and we could know we're off balance.
Yeah, those are big. Like I'm still trying to figure out. This is one of those things I've wondered for at least a decade or more. How spiritual energy or emotional energy throws our bones out of alignment. Right. It's amazing. And I'll share, like your partner Adam worked on someone who had a prolapsed bladder and helped to like shift this. I remember one of these stories reading. So I'm kind of like now in a whole different mindset that what we're holding in can cause almost like physical misalignments, which to me is amazing, but it can certainly move things in and out of alignment very easily. How do you see that happening? What is the mechanism there?
Yeah, so I always, my intuition has shared with me for a long time, like our nervous system is energy, right? Like it is a energetic frequency that's running
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
throughout our body. It's moving down our spine, up our spine. It's moving out through our nerves, and um, it's constantly working for us. And it's also our connection with the divine. So when we feel, um, you know, out of alignment, out of balance, it really makes sense to me that it can affect our Kundalini energy, which is the energy that runs up and down the
Ah,
spine. And
yes.
depending on where we're feeling out of balance. So somebody mentioned finances earlier here
Yes.
in
I
the
saw
chat.
that. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a really, really big one because when we're not feeling safe and supported, that can actually really affect our root chakra, which is all about safety and feeling supported. It's rooted in there. And so I can find that in financial instability, our lower back and sometimes our like hips and sacrum can be out of alignment or giving us extra grief or tightness. Not always for
Yes.
everyone, but I do feel like different um, energies
Yes.
affect different areas. So when I was having a lot of uh, sort of feelings of lack of self-love, self-judgment, that was actually showing up in my neck for me, right? So the neck is like holding that weight of
Right.
something on your body. It could be the weight of the world, even. There's so much turmoil going on right now on the planet, and it can feel really heavy. And that can show up in your upper cervical or your neck as well. There's so many ways in which our spine can give us clues as to what's going on.
Yeah, thank you for that because it makes sense. Let me know if y'all see it. Maybe I'm kind of slower to see it, but I do see how like our structural integrity could be affected by us not feeling safe in the world, not feeling supported, not feeling like we can trust, the world and ourselves. And so it's like the very structure or foundation then starts to shift in ways that cause these malalignments. And it's very interesting. So let me know if you kind of feel that or see that. And I also think the lesson I'm getting from you today is not necessarily to always equate, 1 + 1 = 2. We don't know how it's going to show up. We don't know where it's going to show up per se. Just have to be open and willing to say something doesn't feel right, and I want to feel better. And then it may show up in many different ways for many different people. What are some other examples of things you've seen and worked on? And then I do want to get to some questions and grab some folks. You got a lot to do today. But what are some of your favorite stories and things that have happened in sessions or working with clients?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, I have worked with, gosh, at this point, like thousands of people, and uh, commonality, that's an interesting one because I find everybody is just so unique and so different.
Yeah.
Um, but some of the common, I guess, ways in which these emotions can affect the body, that was the question, right? The
Yeah. What you've seen, yeah, with clients, some of your favorite stories or things you've seen.
Yeah. So I actually had somebody with chronic bladder pain, and this person had what felt like a chronic UTI or urinary tract infection for years, and it never really seemed to go away. Sometimes it would feel a little better if she took like antibiotics or if she took like herbs. It could kind of help control the pain a little bit. But what we really dug into and what really came up was this like deep anger for how like her life had gone for her up to this point, how she felt like a victim, and it created a lot of anger around her. And it really, like, we put a plan together for her to be able to work on journaling out, making peace with life, making peace
Oh my
with
gosh.
those who had irritated and angered her, making peace with her situation in life. And it was like night and day. Her bladder completely, the pain disappeared. And this was like
Wow.
over several months. It wasn't like sometimes people really want that emotional realization to be immediate. And while it can be, it can also be a process. It can take the body a little bit of time to integrate and to let go and to find its set point or balance. But that was a really profound one because just there's just so much that the body can hold.
Mm.
That was an example of someone there. I also had somebody who had chronic irritable bowel syndrome. For those of you that don't know, that's a little bit of it can switch between like constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating. It can really affect somebody's life. And they had tried, like they had done all the testing and they had tried, uh, you know, antimicrobial herbs and functional things going on in the body. And what really came up in the reading was feeling abandoned by their paternal parents and feeling ignored or like they were not important. Their parents were always working, didn't pay attention to them. They had to actually take care of like their siblings
Yes.
growing up. They didn't have a lot of support. So it
Right.
showed up in their body like abandonment, though, like feeling like nobody was there for me. I have to do it all by myself. And it really affected the way that they were like digesting and assimilating life. And their nervous system was, I call it the gut brain axis or like stress gut. And it was really affected by that internal deep feeling from childhood that was still with them. And so when they started to really address that, feeling supported by life, feeling supported by God, Spirit, Creator,
Yes.
feeling supported by their friends and the people that were in their life, their digestion started to improve and the things that they were doing improved.
And, I'm so curious, and we are going to get some callers. This is just amazing because it really is like the whispers that find the answer, like that, like the horse whisperer, the person thinks, well, this is just an angry horse, or this is a horse that doesn't listen. But really, there's one thing, there's one thread, there's one little needle in the haystack that perhaps is the reason, and it comes as a whisper, and it's so often missed. How do you get like with that person with the irritable bowel? So, what was the solution? Was it to journal? Was it to somehow go through a forgiveness process? Like, what was it specific, generally? But then, how did you get that answer? Like, how did you know to put that together into some way to help them?
I know. So people think like intuition comes in like these like novels or paragraphs or like, that I must
Yeah,
like know everything about this person. But, I'm going to be so honest with you here. What the way that I heard it from their body was I feel abandoned by
yeah,
my,
okay,
by my parents. And so that was it. And it just opens up a conversation, right? Like all I am doing is pinpointing what the body is showing me, but it really isn't for me to know all of the details. And, then we ask the body, well, what do we need to do to heal? And yeah, forgiveness was a part of it. So I often like to get people to do some journaling about any emotional stuff that comes up because I find that a lot of people, when they're writing, like, how can I forgive X, Y, and Z? It just kind of flows, almost like an
yeah,
intuitive, automatic writing. It flows. Your body just starts to tell you, put the pieces together with what you need to do. And I also like to get people to really make sure that they connect with their faith, whether that is, God and the angels, or if they call that energy spirit, creator, but to really like, connect with the faith, that universal energy to support them in the process as well, because
Yeah.
it is such an unconditional love. And breath work can be really
Hmm.
amazing as well, just to help the body release those old emotions. Um, it can really bring emotions up to the surface without reliving them. My favorite isn't actually going into the past and reliving our emotions and going into the trauma and, trying to fix the trauma. It's more about, I feel like, coming to a place of acceptance and peace and love to let go of that energy. It's about protecting our peace. And
Protecting our peace. Yeah. It's really great. I got to share some comments and beautiful things coming forward for people. Stephanie says everything that's been said by Keri resonates with me so much, describes everything I'm going through. Hearing all this makes me want to cry, so much describing what I am dealing with. Another person wrote in, I have digestive issues. Another person wrote in, I have a wheat allergy, taking that out of my diet. Another person, financial challenges finding clients, affecting the body. This is Liz, who said she would like to have better leg circulation to be able to do fun things in life. So I think it would be great to dive in, maybe take a couple callers, maybe give a little bit of I don't know, just a peek at maybe what might help move people along. We're not going to have time to do full blown sessions, but I will let everyone know we've got some that Keri's opened up. And last time she was here, she's sold out pretty quick. So I want to let you know if you are feeling a resonance or something in you is saying, you know what, I want to try this softer approach. I want to really let my body's whispers become a new health reality and have some help with that, we've got something really special. But I want to go to some callers. And so if you've raised your hand, thank you for that. I want to go all the way to none other than Leah, Leah. I don't know if we've heard from Leah before. Maybe we have. But Leah, I'm going to send you an unmute request. Do you have maybe one big question or one thing going on that you'd like to share with Keri Fulmore, our guest today? Unmute. Leah, Leah. There she is. Hey, Leah. Can you hear us?
I can't hear Leah.
Yeah, she just unmuted herself. Leah, is your microphone working? Oh, there
Maybe.
she is.
Oh,
Yes, sorry. I'm at work. I had to step
Oh,
outside.
oh, good to see you. You look wonderful. So cool. I love seeing the videos. So hi. She's there. Maybe a bad connection. We'll give her just a minute.
that's okay.
Leah, we're not gonna let you go. Don't worry. So we got you. Yeah, I think she's
I
actually.
will say that while we're waiting for Leah, if you get called on today, just make sure that you have a specific question for me rather than what does my body need, because that's more like a full reading or a personal session. But if you have like a specific question, it helps like me help more people today. So just to
Leah's back. Leah, yeah, what's your specific question? Uh-oh. Maybe it's a bad signal. Okay, there you are. Yeah. All right. So Leah, what we're gonna do,
I think
let's
I'm in a better place now.
okay. Yeah, she's in a better place. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Um, so I tell me if I'm asking this incorrectly, but my question is about digestive, of course. I'm happy that that came up. I just have like as I'm going 4.5 years on what they're saying is a digestive issue. And I've had all the tests and done all the things medically, holistically, spiritually, and I got no answers. Nothing. Just keep getting more tests, more things, and just a big circle. So I don't even know like what the exact specific question to ask is, but
Yeah, that's That's a hard one when we've had something going on for quite some time and we've tried so many ways in healing. And I know you said you've done a lot spiritually. There's like an energy around you. There's a couple things that are kind of coming up for me right now. I kind of get the sense that your body is talking to me a little bit about like doing maybe like a lot of things in your life, but not technically like I want to say, like, are you connected with what lights you up? Because it's almost like you're doing things in your life, you're doing things for other people, maybe even for yourself, but it's like there's something missing there, like this spark or this like energy of this energy of yeah, just what lights you up. Have you been feeling like you know, a little bit like that lately?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like your digestion is speaking to me about um and I don't like to say like living a life that doesn't exactly vibrate with you because that isn't quite true because I feel like, you know, you have been of service, you do a lot of great things. You actually have a really open and loving energy, and I feel like, you know, your body is just talking to me about needing to get clear with what it is that you want for you and really moving into that. And I also do get a feeling of like self-worth and self-love. Like I feel like you struggle with those things as well. Is that true?
I'm getting better.
Yeah. So that's something that I feel is there too. So just working a little bit more on self-empowerment and self-worth, self-love. But I'm feeling like you need to get clear with what you want for you at this point in your life and where you're at. And I'm gonna say, don't let anything stop you from that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel kind of stretched thin, Leah? Do you feel kind of like you're pulling sort of all these different directions for other people or for things that you think you have to do or life?
Yeah, I start to go in one direction and I'm like, oh, let's try this instead. And let's try this instead. And
Hmm.
don't go all the way in one direction.
Yeah, it's like this energy of having your hands in many pots,
Yeah,
but not exactly the pot that lights you up. And so I think it's about getting clear with who you are and what you want and going after it. And don't allow your brain to tell you otherwise, like, oh, I'm too like this to do that, or I'm too that to do that, or, you know, really get clear with it and move forward. I feel like that's the energy sitting in your digestive system.
Wow.
Um, and then, yeah, I guess that would be my biggest spiritual advice for you right now. And I know that there can be many like physical things that we could work on too, but that feels like that missing piece, I want to say.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, digest, like really process enough time on one thing to really process it. And
Yes,
yeah, well, thank you, Leah.
thank you.
That's informative to me, and we're sending you big love. You know, it's so interesting. And the other thing I always forget to mention with you, Keri, is you also work with sort of the holistic space on practical solutions and things you can do in the body. It could be supplementation, it could be vibrational support, it could also be nutritional support. I mean, you've got a huge wellspring as a functional medicine practitioner to help people too, which is pretty amazing. That's so interesting with Leah. And I get the sense like she's doing so much and she's got such a big heart. But like you said, it's like stay on that one thing to really process, break down, and assimilate that thing, which what
Hmm.
our digestive system does. All right. I'm Monday morning quarterbacking after you go first. So it's kind of makes sense to me, but it's incredible. Let me go to Cheryl. Cheryl, we're gonna unmute you, Cheryl C. And I think we had heard from Cheryl before, but we're gonna just pretend I didn't read any of her questions. So Cheryl, how can we help you today?
Hi, Darius. Thank you so
Hi.
much.
Hello.
Yes, I bought the package last time with Keri. She's wonderful. I've worked with her.
Nice.
I'm waiting to work again. She's an absolute gem.
Oh wow.
But my question today is, what on earth is going on in that lower right quadrant of mine?
Ah,
Right quadrant. Okay.
let's see here. Well, there's a couple things that come up. On a physical level, I feel like I want to go around to like the sacrum, like your S discs. I feel like you might have a little bit of like tension or compression or out of alignment there. Have you been working at all with your lower back and sacrum?
I no, not really. I haven't had much, just kind of off and on pain in the lower back and the right side.
Yeah, it does feel like the back is involved. So we have like nerves or dermatomes that come from the spine and pelvis into like our abdomen and all our organs. And so I feel like I want to, on a physical level, um, maybe work with an osteopath or a chiropractor. I probably have suggested things to you for your spine before. So on the physical, I do feel like an adjustment is in order there because I feel like it's off or it's out, and it does need a little bit of support. Now, I keep hearing like almost like, have you been thinking of like vacation or retirement or something?
I'm trying to go on a vacation to help my
Wow.
daughter, and I'm trying to um, change things, but my health has been holding me back.
Yeah, I know. And that can be so difficult because and I've been there like with chronic pain. When I had chronic pain, it was so hard to like do anything outside of manage my body. Um, but I kind of get this feeling where the body is talking to me about needing that space, needing that vacation, needing that, I don't know, retirement.